The late afternoon sunlight poured through the grand windows of the Newman Ranch, painting golden streaks across the marble floors. The house was quiet, unusually so, as Claire Grace sat in the corner of the living room, her sketchbook open, her pencil hovering above the page. Her brow furrowed with deep concentration as she traced the outline of something that lived only in her imagination, or perhaps in her memory. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Across from her, Holden Bennett watched quietly. He had stopped by on Victor's invitation to discuss a new business project with Adam, but somehow his attention had drifted to the young woman at the corner table. Claire wasn't like the other Newmans he'd met, not boastful, not brash. There was something fragile about her, like a bird that had learned to fly again after being caged too long. "Claire," Holden finally said, breaking the silence, "you're really good at that." She blinked, startled, then offered a shy smile. "It's just something I do when my mind gets too loud." Holden tilted his head, intrigued. "Loud in what way?" Claire hesitated. "You wouldn't understand." "Oh, I don't know," he said softly. "Try me." Her eyes met his clear, blue, but haunted. For a moment, neither spoke. Holden realized there was a depth to her, something broken but rebuilding. It stirred something unexpected inside him, a quiet protectiveness he hadn't felt in years. A past that still breathes. Sharon Newman was never one to ignore a feeling, especially one that crept in like smoke and refused to leave. For days, she'd had a strange sense, an instinct whispering that something wasn't right. Ever since that old photograph of a young girl had resurfaced in her late husband's storage box, she couldn't stop thinking about it. The girl in the picture had eyes that mirrored Claire's, the same innocence shadowed by sorrow. That morning, Sharon stood in crimson lights, clutching the worn photo. "This can't be coincidence," she muttered, tracing the edges with her thumb. Nick approached, concerned. "Sharon, you've been staring at that picture for 3 days now. What are you hoping to find?" "I'm not sure," she admitted. "But something about this. It feels connected to Jordan. To Claire's past. Maybe even to mine." Nick frowned. "You think this girl is Claire?" "I don't know. But I think the truth about who she really is and what Jordan did goes deeper than we think. If there's something dangerous still out there, I need to find it before it finds her." Nick sighed, knowing that tone. Once Sharon latched onto a mystery, she didn't stop, not until she unearthed every secret, even the ones best left buried. Holden's discovery. Back at the ranch, Holden found himself spending more time with Claire than he'd planned. What started as a short visit had stretched into hours, talking, laughing, sharing stories over cups of tea. He had come to Genoa City to escape his own ghosts, yet somehow, Claire made them quieter. "You said your mind gets loud," Holden said gently. "What do you mean by that?" Claire looked down, fidgeting with her pencil. When Jordan had me, she filled my head with lies. Told me I was worthless, that no one would ever love me. Sometimes I still hear that voice." Holden's chest tightened. "And now?" "Now," she said, forcing a small smile, "it's getting easier to silence her. But some days, it's like she's still there, waiting for me to slip." Holden leaned forward. "You're stronger than you think, Claire. You've already survived the worst. The rest, it's just learning to trust the light again." "Please subscribe to my YouTube channel." Claire's eyes softened. "That sounds like something someone who's been through hell would say. Maybe I have." Holden rarely spoke about his past, but something about her made him want to. He told her about losing his sister to addiction, about the guilt that chased him afterward. She listened quietly, and when he finished, she said softly, "You can't carry everyone's pain, Holden. Sometimes the best way to honor the past is to live better now." For the first time in years, he believed it might be true. The warning. Later that evening, as darkness settled over Genoa City, Sharon locked up crimson lights and prepared to head home. The streets were quiet, a faint wind rustling the autumn leaves. But as she reached her car, she felt it, that prickle on the back of her neck, that instinct that someone was watching. She turned sharply. Nothing. Still, her pulse raced. Sliding into the driver's seat, Sharon started the engine, but then her phone buzzed. A text. "Unknown number. Stop digging into the past." Some truths should stay buried. Her heart pounded. She immediately tried calling back, but the number was blocked. By the time she pulled out of the parking lot, a pair of headlights flickered on from across the street, following her at a distance. Victor's concern. The next morning, Victor Newman summoned Holden to his office at Newman Enterprises. "I hear you've been spending time with my granddaughter," Victor said, his tone calm but unmistakably probing. Holden straightened. "Yes, sir. Claire's an interesting person. Stronger than she knows." Victor's eyes narrowed slightly. "She's been through a great deal. I trust you're aware of that." "I am. I'm not here to hurt her, if that's what you're asking." Victor leaned back. "Good. Because if anyone does," his gaze hardened, "they'll answer to me." Holden met his stare evenly. "Understood." As Holden left, Nikki entered the office, her expression worried. "Victor, I'm concerned. Claire's been having nightmares again. She won't talk about them, but I think they're getting worse." Victor frowned. "Then perhaps this Holden fellow isn't as harmless as he seems." Nikki shook her head. "No, it's not that. The nightmares started after Sharon came by asking questions about Jordan's old connections. Maybe she stirred something up." Victor's jaw tightened. "Then Sharon's curiosity may put us all in danger." A dangerous lead. That night, Sharon sat at her desk surrounded by old files and photographs. She traced the same name over and over: Evelyn Grace, a woman who once worked at the mental health facility where Jordan had been a nurse decades ago. Sharon's instincts told her Evelyn might be the missing link. She called the number she found on the back of an old business card. To her surprise, someone answered. "Evelyn Grace speaking." Sharon froze for a moment, then gathered herself. "Miss Grace, my name is Sharon Newman. I'm trying to learn more about a patient who was under Jordan Howard's care years ago. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel." There was silence on the other end, long, tense silence. "Jordan Howard," Evelyn finally whispered. "You shouldn't be calling me. You have no idea what that woman was capable of." "Please," Sharon pressed. "I'm trying to help someone. Her name is Claire Grace." Before she could finish, Evelyn interrupted, voice trembling. "Then stop. If you love that girl, don't go digging." Jordan wasn't working alone. There were others, people who still believe in what she started. The line went dead. Sharon's hands shook. "Others?" Suddenly, her phone pinged again, another text from the unknown number. "You were warned." Claire's fears returned. The next morning, Claire woke up in a cold sweat. Her dreams had been vivid, Jordan's voice whispering, coaxing her to come home. She sat up, gasping for breath, clutching her necklace like a lifeline. Nikki rushed in. "Sweetheart, are you all right?" It felt so real," Claire murmured. "She said she wasn't done with me." Nikki hugged her tightly. "It was just a nightmare, darling. Jordan can't hurt you anymore." But deep down, Claire wasn't sure. Later that day, she met Holden at Chancellor Park. He could tell something was wrong. "You didn't sleep," he said. "Nightmares," she admitted. "They're getting worse." He hesitated, then gently reached for her hand. "I'll stay with you tonight, if you want. Just so you're not alone." Claire looked at him, torn between fear and gratitude. "You barely know me, Holden." "Maybe," he said softly, "but I want to." And in that moment, something shifted, a spark that neither expected. The trap. That evening, Sharon decided to visit the old facility where Jordan once worked, hoping to find answers. It had been abandoned for years, the windows boarded up, the halls coated in dust. She walked carefully, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Each step echoed ominously. Then she found it, a locked file cabinet labeled Patient 42, Grace Project. Her pulse quickened as she pried it open. Inside were folders filled with medical reports, photos, and a chilling note. "The experiment continues. Claire Grace, Phase 2. Sharon's breath caught. "Experiment? Phase 2? Before she could take another step, a noise echoed from behind her, a creak, slow and deliberate. "Who's there?" she called out. No answer. Then the flashlight flickered and died. Panic set in. Sharon stumbled backward, feeling her way through the darkness. The sound of footsteps grew closer. "Sharon," A voice whispered, eerily familiar. Her blood ran cold. "Jordan," she gasped. A low chuckle filled the air. "Did you really think death could stop me?" Suddenly, a shadow lunged from the darkness. Sharon screamed. Holden to the rescue. Meanwhile, Holden was driving back from the park when his phone buzzed. A text from Sharon's number. "If anything happens to me, tell Claire the truth. The Grace Project wasn't just Jordan's idea. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel." He slammed the brakes, heart pounding. Something was terribly wrong. He called Nick and Victor, then sped toward the old facility using GPS coordinates from Sharon's phone. By the time he arrived, the front door hung open. Inside, he found signs of a struggle, Sharon's flashlight on the floor, blood smeared across the tiles. "Sharon," he called. From the distance came a faint cry. He followed the sound down a corridor until he found Sharon tied to a chair, her face bruised but alive. Behind her stood a woman, gray hair, piercing eyes, wearing a lab coat with the initials EG. "Evelyn Grace," Holden breathed. She smiled coldly. "You shouldn't have come." "Let her go," he demanded. Evelyn tilted her head. "Jordan may have died, but her vision didn't. Claire is special. The final subject of a genetic behavioral study. We shaped her mind, controlled it, and soon we'll reclaim her." Holden stepped closer. "You'll never touch her again." Before Evelyn could respond, police sirens wailed outside, Victor's security team, following the GPS alert. Evelyn hissed in anger, dropping a vial of clear liquid and darting through a back exit. Holden rushed to free Sharon. "You okay?" "I think so," she whispered, shaken. "But now we know the truth. Jordan wasn't working alone. Claire's past, it's darker than we ever knew." The aftermath. The next morning, Sharon sat in the Newman Ranch living room, bandaged but determined. Victor and Nikki listened intently as she recounted the night's events. Evelyn Grace was Jordan's partner, Sharon explained. They called it the Grace Project. They wanted to create a child whose mind could be manipulated, to test loyalty, obedience. Claire was that child. Nikki's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God." Victor's jaw clenched. "If this woman comes near my granddaughter again, I'll make sure she disappears for good." Just then, Claire entered the room, hearing only the end. "Disappears?" she echoed. "What's going on?" Sharon turned to her gently. "Sweetheart, there's something you need to know about your past." As Sharon explained, tears filled Claire's eyes. "So I wasn't just Jordan's victim. I was her creation." "Don't say that," Holden said softly, stepping forward. "Whatever they tried to make you into, you broke free. You're your own person now." Claire looked at him, tears trembling in her lashes. "You really believe that?" "With everything I am." A new beginning. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Claire and Holden walked by the lake behind the ranch. The air was cool, the water still. "I used to think I'd never trust anyone again," Claire said quietly. "But you see me differently." Holden smiled faintly. "Maybe that's because you're not broken anymore, Claire. You're rebuilding." She looked out at the horizon. "I don't know what's next, but I'm done running from who I was. I want to build something real for me." Holden reached for her hand. "Then let's start there." As they stood together, the wind rippled through the trees, carrying away the last echoes of Jordan's darkness. But far away, in the shadows of an abandoned warehouse, Evelyn Grace watched a monitor displaying a live feed of Claire by the lake. A cold smile touched her lips. "Phase 2, she whispered, typing a command into her laptop. "Has only just begun. Subscribe the channel to get such videos."